sees my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feeling like a dynamite, ready to explode right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. other side, my love. I'll go out of my own way. Yeah. Lions roaring in the morning sun, searching for a longer day. People feeling like the light has just come. We must never stop the way. Yeah. Birds jumping and I hear my name, grasping into a life. Life is happy but it's so insane. We must merely make a start. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah.
Well, Goose is back, everyone, and now it is going to be the 8th frame, but it's better late than never. And yeah, as I say, unfortunately, didn't have the ability to be recording beforehand, but we've got a very exciting last couple of frames here of the quarter-final appearance in between Judd Trump and Mark Williams, the repeat of the famous semi-final at the Crucible last season, which didn't really help either Williams or Trump. Of course, Trump has gone on to lose to Mark, and Williams himself wasn't able to challenge Yaozington, but today has been a very different story there. And just very quickly through the facts, the first frame was probably the best that we've seen of Mark Williams in the entire season in terms of the break building, and in the end he has gone on to lose 4 frames in a row after that. After some of the really weird flukes, some of the really good breaks from Watchalong, but despite having all of that, he only managed to have 75 points as his highest break in the previous frames. And then he's gone on to lose 2 on the bounce. The sixth one, I should say, was probably more of a Mark Williams just finally be able to find grips with his cue and get hold of the game. And in the end, the 7th one had a mistake from Watchalong quite earlier on, with him scoring only 11 points, and Williams gone on to make another century break, which is why, despite winning 1 less frame than Trump has managed, he only trails by 18 points of the total count there. The pot success at some point in this match was 98% for Williams. I feel like he would have gone down from this point because he has missed the pink in the previous frame. But Trump needs to make sure he needs a frame here, really. And he needs to make sure he ain't going to be losing a lot more of those now. And it is going to be down to a bit of brilliance from his point, but also he needs a bit of a drop-off from Williams' point, you would feel as well. So now, as we've seen on a couple of those occasions, Trump just trying to find the long shot that have been going in for him, to be fair. On some of the stages previously, not so much now though, as Williams probably has a poor safety shot there, unless he's got the blue to come to his rescue, which he might have done, to be fair. So just having a bit of a look to see. And it does feel like Trump will have to go for a safety now. Safety success has been a dreadful start of Williams, to be fair. 84% for Trump, which isn't great. But 54% for Williams has been way below average. And yeah, now Judd needs to try and get that cue ball to the top part of the table here. Preferably avoid touching the brown, which he hasn't done. And now it is going to be Williams. They'll have a great chance presented to him. Try and take their head into the right corner. And, with a bit of backspin that he can try and apply to this shot, you should be able to try and find a little corridor there in between the 2 reds that he needs to try and miss to go around the black there. So Trump is having a good look of his own before deciding that he'll have to spend a bit of time in his chair. And Williams, in the end, just refusing to take that long shot on there. You feel like with 4-1 down, he would have been going for that sort of stuff, but because he's only 1 frame away, all of a sudden, there's not so much of a reason for him to be risking everything at stake, and now just trying to minimize the damage there to his health. And once again, just leaving the turn back to Trump. The cue will have to be sent to the left part of the table, trying to separate the reds onto the right side. Cushion played the shot pretty well. Didn't have to worry about the reds because they were always going to be heading towards the black ball cushion. So I had to concentrate on bringing the cue ball over the bulk line, which he has managed to do. Not quite as close as it could have been to the bulk cushion in itself. And now he's going to have a bit of a variety of reds here, Williams. To try and send to the left part of the table this time. And, didn't really judge the cannon too well. And it looks like he's going to leave both of those reds quite close to left corner pocket, although he has managed to get a decent pace on the cue ball for it to finish super close to the ball cushion as well. So now it's down to Watchalong, which I have to say it's not really the perfect shot for him to be trying to get back into business. Long pot success, 6 out of 7 for Williams, 4 out of 8 for Trump, although I have to say, the ones that Trump has been potting at the opening parts of this match certainly have been far more impressive to my point than the ones that we've seen from Williams. But you would feel like, especially with the way the Reds have positioned themselves quite close to the left corner, this would be classified as an easy one. But because of the cue ball not really having anywhere to go in terms of the next colour for him to play, Trump will probably have to try and go for the one closer to the pocket, and the one being in a straight line. But I do feel like he may just have to settle for rolling that red in, taking the point, and just playing the safety out of it. Although, as I say, he'll still leave the second red over the pocket, so may have to try and put all of the eggs in one basket, and he's certainly done so. Brilliant shot there by Trump, and he's certainly going to be playing shots like that if he wants to try and get himself back into the business thing. So now, 1 point scored. He's going to be perfectly lined up on the brown. And if you look at the way the Reds have actually managed to position themselves, there should be a really nice chance for Trump to try and do something about this one. So play the brown into the green pocket. Once again, try and hold the cue ball. So it just about bounces away off the top side cushion there. And in the end, it feels like he was a bit low on the pace there, the cue ball. So he still finished on a couple of those reds, but the black, having its limited availability, may still come into play here because of, Trump can't see the red right next to the left corner pocket, so he has to go for the more difficult red. It's really something that he needs to be doing there to himself, especially having a little cannon to be played on the cue ball as well, but he's managed to play another good shot there. So it is a bit of a now or never for Williams, but it may turn out to be the same way for Trump because he can't afford to be losing 3 frames on the bounce because of all the momentum and the advantage they'll give mentally to Williams over, the course of the match. Trump has pretty much been seen as a dominant force even going into this one. The odds were as low as 130 for him to be the winner. For us not to be seeing the repeat of that famous quarter-final last year of the class of 92. Higgins meeting Williams. And we could still see the Masters rematch if it is going to be Trump to find 2 more frames there. And he seems to be marching on step by step there towards taking the 5th one though, because he manages to re-establish the cue ball here on the black. He's going to have a variety of reds available to him, so things are not going to be looking too bad here, but of course they weren't on the previous occasion on the 7th frame as well. And yet it was Williams that was able to make a century, and Trump had to settle for 11 points on the score sheet. Now, just once again, of course, all the foul shots that we've seen given away, incredibly, the latest frame that Trump managed to win so far was at the point of concession frame being made at, 83 points still being at the table, and for all the reason of Trump having the great ability to line a brilliant snooker there after finishing the break of 48 points, managing to get that cue ball in behind the yellow, getting a lot of those points away from Williams, and in the end, Williams was never able to escape from that snooker, and it was only the fact that Trump found himself on the red that allowed Williams to get back to his seat. And at that point, the deficit was 90 points with the 91 at the table, incredibly. And Trump now just looking to make sure he's going to be able to stay on the black. And by doing that, he needs to be positioning the cue ball very much lined up for the left part of the table. Of course, you always have the pink. Should the cue ball be slightly too close to the top part of the table, but he shouldn't really be doing stuff like that there because that's a horrible misjudgment, and he's left himself with a really bad shot to play with the red that still can be taken into the right corner, but you feel like with the line that the cue ball is going to be taking, it's going to have to go all the way to the bulk part of the table, and that means less cue ball control, and also that's going to mean that the next shot is going to be a bit more challenging than he would have liked it to see. And he also needs to drop the red in, which he has managed to do. And he's going to be able to have a nice position on the green. So it's a good shot there by Trump. Could have done without having the need to play it at all. As now just about misses the blue with the cue ball after cannoning away from the right side. Now it's going to be 32 points advantage, which, at this position, with the way the reds, some of those reds certainly, are positioning themselves very much at the lower end of the table. Welcome, yes, Ladish, I didn't know if you're still in there, but someone just couldn't be doing the opening 7 frame, so, better late than never, I suppose. And, yeah, appreciate you sticking in. And yeah, I mean, brilliant match, entertaining, bit weird, I would say. Some of those points, Chomp winning 4 frames on the bounce against one of the most consistent players on the tour. Williams making 150 points in the opening 5 frames, and yet 141 of them came very much at the opening frame. Then Trump winning the frame by a gap of 90 points when there was 83 points at the table. And all of a sudden, Williams just pulls a switch, recovers 2 frames, and it is now Trump that is going to be under pressure. And so far, he's able to find 46 points here to add to his score sheet after pretty much being whitewashed in the previous 2 frames. And you want to improve his spot success of 92% he was at the end of the previous frame, whilst Williams was averaging incredible 98 to his name as well. So now if you take the black into the left corner, you should be able to sort of limit those reds available to yourself and to Williams to just 2 that I can see. You can play 1 more into the left corner, which is going to be slightly above the black. And then the red, one of the closest one to the right corner pockets, can also be played from this angle, it looks like. If you get really low on the cue ball's point. And of course, that will leave 67 points available to Mark Williams. And if you take, 2 more blacks and 1 more red away with Trump, you should be able to get this frame 1, barring snookers. Which, to be fair, we haven't really seen too many given away there in Williams' favour. We have seen, though, a lot of foul points to go the way of Trump. Pretty much the story of how he managed to win that frame number 5. But it doesn't seem like he's going to be too happy with the way he's played that last shot here on the black. And I'm not even sure he can get through to this red. But even if he can, still needs an expensive colour after this one. And it may come in a bit difficult for him to try and force the cue ball through this red. And yeah, just thinking about it once again. So getting down to hit the shot and then just thinking against it there. You can't really sort of criticize Trump for doing that because he may be at the stage of just trying to take the red into the left corner instead. And then, all of a sudden, he should have a really good chance of just trying to force another red closer to the top part of the table instead. Same place as the cue ball. So he decides just to take the point there on the red. And you can't really blame him for that either. So just taking 63 points of a cushion. And saying that if I cut the black in, it's going to be 70 points with only 67 at the table. So it's not going to be the worst thing for me to happen. But also, you need to make sure that you are going to be very much at the position of trying to get this frame 1 as soon as possible. Simply because of you need to try and build a bit of momentum of your own. And unless that is going to be the case, you are going to have the struggle of Williams returning back to the table and still trying to find snookers. And look at that for a shot. Brilliant. Although, just as I say brilliant, I feel like that was drifting wide there off the middle pocket. And in the end, somehow still managed to catch the jaw of the middle with the way that it's still dropped in. But, we have seen a couple of those foul shots by Williams to be given away with the, table maybe showing a bit of wear to it. And some of those reds just fading away. Trump is going to make it, though. His second highest break of the entire match. To add to the tally of 75 points scored in the first mini-session. So now it is going to be Trump to return here once again. And just managing the situation here from this point. Because Williams is going to have an impossible job at this stage to try and get this frame 1. Because of the way that 4 of these 5 reds are going to be positioning themselves very much at the lower end of the table. If Trump somehow managed to get the black to be joining them as well, probably be very close to conceding this frame, even though it is only 1 snooker to try and find. But for now, he'll try and fight for this one. And I feel like it's not really going to be down to trying to dismantle the rhythm, because Williams will probably feel like he still has got a bit of the edge on Trump, because, as much as this break was really nice to Judd, and it was super important for him, he still didn't really see the Judd that we have witnessed in the opening couple of frames, where he was taking around 5 seconds in between those shots and just getting very much to be in control of the cue ball in and around the black spot. But right now it is going to be a chance given away, so Let's see how many points Williams is going to be able to score, because he's played a wonderful shot there, to be fair, on the red. And, potting the red was probably simple enough for him. But the way that he gets that cue ball to come across the entire table and positioning perfectly at the top part of the black, let's see if he's going to be able to disrupt those reds in the way that he'll land on one. And he has managed to do so. So, as I say, it looked impossible for him to try and make any sort of points out of this position, and it may still be that way because he's having a good old look at this red. So it looks like it is going to be super close for him to try and get through to it. And in the end, is it going to be worth taking that risk? Well, it clearly was, because he was able to pot the red now after all that thought. So the remaining three, well, he doesn't need to pot all three of them, because ideally he would like to keep one to give him a free ball opportunity at this stage. You won't really need the points for it, but just for an extra chance to get the position on the 6 remaining colours, and something that didn't really look possible, as I personally said, at the time that Williams was coming back to hit that red near the green pocket, which once again just proves how important that shot of being on the top part of the black was. Now he's got once again a chance to try and get that cue ball across the side cushion. And look at that for a shot. Brilliant control. Once again shown by Williams. And gives them the ability to get one more red in the open play and away from the black ball cushion. Manages to roll the... Well, he's trying to roll the black in with no power at all. And he was comfortably potting the black. But when doing that, he still managed to overrun for this red quite badly here, And as far as I'm aware, he can't really be taking the pink here with this red unless he can try and settle for, needing 2 snookers to play. And look at that, he hasn't even played for the pink, although that might have been the intention, because it still has got the rest out, suggesting that he is going to try and paint the pink. And that will leave him with 4 points of a deficit for him to be unsafe in relation to points still remaining at the table. But as the pink is taken, so you can see now 39 points is going to be the deficit. I don't know why the referee has said 32, because it's 31 points of a break, and this could be important, so you shouldn't really be doing that. So once again, the referee just, I'm not sure. It's a really good job by the referee, because 32 points that he called on the break. So the score sheet for me and for the broadcast says it's 31. And this is important, by the way, because, Williams got the snooker now on Chomp. And if Chomp hits this red, Williams may have the thinking process of he can try and win the frame, but he won't be. He can try and force a respot. And in the meantime, let's see if Chomp is going to give that luxury of 4 points away. He won't right now. Really good hit there by Judd. Giving the turn once again back to Williams. And at this stage, he will probably want to keep the red on. Although, as I say, if he gets a clear-cut chance of potting this red with the black, I say he takes it. Look at that for a shot. That's beautifully judged there by Williams. As long as he's not going to leave it off the pocket. Yeah, he's trying to wobble it in the jaws intentionally to send that red across the lower part of the table. And, he nearly played a bit of a bad game with himself, because the green just about is going to be in the way of the cue ball enough there for Chomp to be playing a safety and not the attacking shot instead. So he's still going to leave a chance out to Mark Williams to try and take this red into the yellow pocket. Not sure he's going to be able to sort of add enough of the backspin here, as he just tries to send that red once again down the lower part of the table. And this time he's managed to get a proper snooker here, because the cue ball has gone in nicely behind the yellow. There's still significant distance in between the yellow and the cue ball, which allows Chomp to be using that left side cushion, which is going to be very important. But the red is quite far away from the cushion as well, which leaves room for a mistake. But there's not going to be a mistake made here. Once again, super clinical by Judd. Not giving away any of those foul points. It feels like throughout pretty much 99% of this match. Especially with how many of those we've seen to be handed to Chomp. But now let's see if Williams is going to be able to do something good here. Not really for his own sake, because he just put the pink super safe, and also potentially, you know, with Trump having the ability to just go for those long reds. He's left one over the right corner. It's quite close to the side cushion, but let's see if Trump is going to force the cross double option instead. And yeah, he just hit that red full in the face, trying to separate the two of them. Red going close to the yellow spot, and the cue ball resting nicely on the black ball cushion. Some people thought he may have been worth the applause, but realizing that Williams was already down to hit his shot and thinking against it, probably the right thing to do, as it was for Williams just to go with a simple solution. Leave the cue ball on the top part of the Z and guide that red towards the left corner. So frame time 20 minutes, and you know, the previous 7 being quite quick ones, and this is going to be a mistake by Trump. I'm not going to say it's going to be a costly one, because he may have still found a snooker, but bringing the pink into play certainly wasn't part of his plans. Although, as I say, it's quite a nasty snooker for Williams, because yes, he can hit the red easily, but you know, ideally he wants to be hitting this red pretty much fully in the face off the cushion, setting to the top part of the table. But the cue ball, if my judgment is correct, he's going to be heading towards the right corner pocket, and he was super close that for Williams. I mean, I'm surprised how calm he was, because, you know, he's still in the fight for this frame, and yet that cue ball was always going to be heading very close to the right corner. You know, it was always going to be the perfect angle, and yet it was always going to be the worst angle to be playing that shot from 2 perspectives there. And yet, status quo will remain. And once again, it is Williams that finds himself being, well, snookered, but still having the ability to try and play a swerve shot instead. Now, hitting that red comfortably. Needs the blue to come to his rescue again, and he may have done so, you know. You know, Trump was quite fortunate to be getting that snooker a couple of shots ago. And now Williams is certainly going to have a bit of a payback. So Trump will have left side to consider. But once again, the red is probably just about far enough from the cushion for it to be a concern there on his face. Just taking a couple of extra seconds. You would expect him to hit it, especially if he plays it firm with a bit of power. Can't really be asking for any control here. But he manages to hit the red quite nicely there, although once again leaving no distance in between the cue ball and the red. Although leaving not a lot of the angle either. May just limit the options there for Williams to try and send that red to the lower part of the table. So certainly going to have a hand in his mouth and thinking about it there. So, I mean, the green is a bit of a temptation to try and roll the cue ball in behind, but once again, the angle that you need for that to be the case leaves red pretty much to try and attempt to pot it, which of course wouldn't be part of his plans. So, well, as I say, I mean, I could understand why he's done that. You know, he could not have done anything with that red to try and get it safe. You know, it's just one of those situations which you don't really see snooker players define themselves at, because, you know, when you have got the situation, you do exactly what Williams has done, try and pot the red. But at that stage, it probably wasn't the worst or the best thing for him to do, because it leaves one extra ball, which you could try and find a snooker in behind off the table. Of course, the bonus being that it still doesn't need a free ball. Although you might think that he does. You know, as I say, that misjudgment from referee was quite bad at that point, and very important, because Williams could still have a bit of a thought in his mind that he needs one snooker to win this frame, and instead it's going to be only one snooker to tie, which he has managed to find now in behind the brown. Once again, just leaving Trump with loads of space to try and miss the yellow, and in the end, Trump is going to play a perfect safety shot as well out of it, pushing that yellow across the table and towards the right side cushion. So leaving it pretty much, well, no-brainer there for Williams of get that cue ball to be in behind the black or somewhere near it, and then get the yellow itself towards the bulk line. Decent execution. Probably just about done enough there for the shot not to be playable by Trump. Although Judd is having a bit of a look towards it. So as I say, I mean, 20 minutes was the graph shown a couple of minutes ago, you will feel. Probably feels like one of the longest frames that we had in between the two players. And look at that for a shot. Brilliant by Trump. And, well, this is going to put Williams in a bit of trouble because you would feel like it's a simple one-cushion escape. But that would have been the solution in Trump's point of view. Williams need to get this yellow safe. And ideally, he doesn't want to give the rhythm away to Trump either. And he's looking to go for the very much a difficult option there. Two cushions all the way for that table. Nearly flukes the yellow. And in the end, somehow gets it safe there. Despite being so close to the jaw of the middle pocket. The cue ball has gone beyond the zone that you would expect this yellow to be possible from. And yeah, just thinking about maybe just hitting this one full in the face there, Judd. And yeah, finding that cue ball in behind the blue. I mean, it's one of the options, but is it really worth the risk to try and use that right side cushion and just trust yourself to judge the power of the cue ball perfectly? And in the end, you can always have a backup option of trying to pot the yellow. And look at that for a shot. Brilliant frame ender. And he wasn't quite in behind the blue. But of course, at this stage, it wouldn't matter. It is now 2 snookers needed for Williams. And if the green will disappear, which it does, it is certainly going to be advantage Trump here. And a 2-frame advantage restored. It's not quite going to be as comfortable as 4-1 at some stage of this match, but still very much better than being back to all square at 4 each and turning this one into a 1st-2 battle. Now he's about to probably make a break of 27 points here, getting all of the 6 colours. He's going to bother about the black, getting the pink and a bit of exhibition play for the fans. And he's certainly going to be walking his way down the table to try and hit the black. Maybe a little bit of a Zhao copyright with a trick shot. And in the end, he's just going to go for a trademark shot there with Trump. And in the end, it is going to be foul shot given away to Mark Williams. But still, it's 20 points, which get Trump over the line. And he now leads Williams by 5 frames to 3. 2-frame advantage. Let's see if that's going to be enough for the ace in the back to stop the Welsh potting machine. Or are we going to see another comeback from Mark Williams and himself very much trying to get back into the rhythm of winning a couple of those frames. And also, you know, leading this match the only time when it counts. Of course, you'll have to do that after winning the decider to try and force the rematch of the class of 92. Very much the repeat of the 2018 World Championship final, or of course, a bit of a repeat to the quarter-final stage last season as well. If I'm not mistaken, that was the one that gone all the way the distance. And of course, in 2018, Williams was taking that match by 18 to 16 frames. So if you have a look at the turret, just trying to find. So, of course, Williams and Higgins haven't met this season so far. But yeah, last season, you can see 30th of April, 13-12 was that win for Mark Williams. And once again, only led at the second session, I should say, by 7 frames to 6. And then just taking a commanding lead at 12 frames to 8. Higgins was able to find 4 frames on the bounce before Williams inevitably took the decider away from the Wizard of Wishaw. And once again, a bit of a point on the way that this match has gone. I feel like 5-4 at this stage probably would have been the perfect scoreline. Of course, could still be the case to occur in a couple of moments' time when we finish frame number 9. But at this stage, I probably feel like Trump managed to utilise his chances a lot better than Williams. But Mark probably has been the player that was making the most out of the chances in terms of the scoring. You know, he's got a century on the board. He's got 141 points to himself as well. Good morning from down under, joining the comment. Yeah, I have to say, it's not like I've been here for a while. Only a couple of frames, and yeah, really exciting match. As I say, it was a bit of a weird one that Trump was able to win 4 frames with a bounce against someone as consistent as Williams. But apart from that, it's all been pretty close. You know, a couple of high-scoring frames. Trump doing breaks of 75 and 70 points, and Williams responding with his highest break of the season of 141 points. I was very surprised to see the likes of Higgins and Ronnie O'Sullivan to be making sort of 13, 15, 17 maximums in their career. And as far as I'm aware, Williams only has 2 or 3 next to his name. I want to just double check that, but I was super surprised and super shocked that someone that, like Mark Williams, only has got, well, I don't know how many maximums he has. 3 maximum in his career, which for me just feels like a weird, very weird stat to be finding out about Mark Williams, as the referee trying to get the crowd to be calm. And Trump is making sure that the sticker is not going to be in the way of him taking this break-off shot. So he's now going to be trying to get that red across the table. So far, I didn't really see a lot of, misjudgment of the break-offs. A couple of the ones from Williams that allowed Trump to be taking one of the long shots away, both into the left and the right corner. And you can see pot success 92% for Chomp. So still being very steady there for him. And Williams, incredibly, 97. Of course, massively helped on by the fact of not missing one shot that he had in the opening frame. And then still having another century very much on the score sheet in frame number 7. It's now going to be another good shot there from Williams. I have to say, I mean, that 54% that we've seen on the safety play from Williams does seem a bit harsh because, I mean, as much as Trump was getting a couple of those chances away from his safeties, I mean, majority of them were long shots anyway. So I wouldn't really say that Williams' safety has been bad. I'd just say that Trump's ones have been better. And watch him get that cue ball to go into the yellow pocket right now. No, he won't. So the commentator's curse is not striking just yet, but he may do now. Because Trump needed to get that cue ball closer to the yellow pocket. He may have left a little bit of a window for Williams to be taking one of the reds with a bit of a fine margin of a cut into the left corner, but at least there's a chance. Yes, there's a chance they'll get that cue ball to be heading straight across the reds, which probably is why Williams has decided to take a whole different approach. Maybe about to give a couple of those foul points away. The cue ball is going to be close to this red. And just about judged this one perfectly. Not sure if he's managed to judge it too well, though. And, well, it is going to be a touch and ball, so not sure why audience were sort of waiting to clap there. Maybe just waiting for a referee to check that it wasn't a foul shot after all. But, of course, touch and ball just gives the ultimate ability to Chom to try and just play the cue ball away off the right side cushion, not bother about touching the red at all. That's going to be, once again, putting a bit of a problem there on Williams. And yeah, Tron just trying to find a perfect spot once again. I mean, he does seem exactly identical to the one that Williams found himself with previously. And let's have a look if he's going to be able to try and go for the same solution there, because it still works. I mean, he clearly feels like he won't this time. So, I mean, he's just saying that he can pot the red, which clearly is just trying to prepare himself and the referee maybe for the respot of the cue ball. So, you never quite know. It may well be the time for him to try and get that red, you know, to be potted with a third time shot. Of course, he would have found himself in a 3 miss rule being applied to him in the previous occasion. I felt like it was frame number 4 or 3. He got on to lose that one anyway, but had a bit of a weird shot that he's taken twice there, trying to hit the edge of the red with very little power. Once again, that was the reference mark which I was talking about when the fade occurred. Gave away 8 foul points to Chomp, and in the end had to go for a whole different decision, and actually having the guts to swerve around the yellow, very close to a miscue there by the sounds that you could hear. And well, right now, with me having all of those discussions, he still hasn't made his mind up. Now he has. And has he managed to find the perfect pace judgment? I'm not sure he has, you know. And I'm pretty sure if Trump has got the opportunity to get through to the shred, he's going to have a great chance of once again re-establishing the position, same as he was in the previous frame. Although he is having a very good look at the way that the Reds are positioned in the left corner, which would suggest that the one closest to the right part of the table is not actually going to be possible. And yeah, this one is close. And so does the sticker look like on Trump's right chest. So I have to be keeping an eye on that one. So just having to breach over the paint doesn't help. But at least he can try and just hold the cue for the black without focusing too much on the positional play. And it's a good shot, you know, and it's well worth the applause because of, you know, what's everything at stake. Once again, that rematch for Trump after the defeat at the Masters, which would have felt pretty much probably the worst defeat of the season, apart from maybe the one that happened to him in the final to Jack Lisowski. Although, as I say, you know, with a bit of a history in between the two of them, may have actually been one of the ones that you have to say, well, maybe just once in my life. It may actually not be too, well, feeling too badly about it. Because, of course, it meant that a great friend of his, Jack Lisowski, finally winning the first ranking event title. Although I still very much am going to be sticking to the opinion that it didn't matter when he was playing that match. And that feeling only occurred to him when the referee announced the final scoreline being 9-8 in Jack's favour. We have seen a couple of those early maximum attempts, which always seem to have ended on around 56 points, which makes it 7 reds and blacks combinations. Let's see if we're going to have another one. Although it wouldn't really get your hopes up because the Reds are positioned quite horribly, despite them not being bunched up altogether. I mean, they're forming a couple of packs here. You can't really get the cue ball across in a way that you're going to have one of them to disappear, and all of a sudden you're going to have 5 more of them freed up. So I feel like he's going to do pretty well to win the frame from this visit, and yeah, as I say, I feel like it is going to be a bit of a test there to him. For now, he's taken the 3rd black here. Let's see if he's going to be able to see this red now, though. Ooh, he may not be able to do so, and this is going to be the shot that I was referring to. Bit of chaos here on the table in amongst the reds, and in the end it was a bit of a controlled chaos. Just taking the red into the left corner pocket, pushing another red towards the right side cushion, which I have to say at this stage will certainly help, because any maximum delusional hope is going to be out of the window, because the blue is about to be taken into the left middle, play the cue ball across the table, once again towards the left side, and get yourself a position on for the red into the right corner. So this is going to be the 2 shots, the one that he's played previously, that allowed him to be seeing this red now that he's about to play. And also, I feel like it is going to be pretty much inevitable for him to try and avoid the cannon on the cue ball, although getting that black to be compromised by the red that he's pushed over certainly wasn't part of his plans. And, I mean, he was playing for the black. He would not have been on the black perfectly anyway. And now he needs to take a difficult pink, which I have to say I'm not even sure which pocket that's going to be lined up for. And look at that, brilliantly cued there by Chum, because I have to say the shot into the left middle seemed like the more difficult one to me. And yet he was able to take it with very little power, which allows him to get hold of the cue ball, keep it on the lower part of the table, and still be very much lined up nicely on a couple of those reds. Although once again, I felt like he was quite low on the pace of the cue ball and quite low on the backspin there. Because once again, it's a difficult ping that has to be taken. And this one is going to be even better than the previous one. Trump is playing decent snooker. I mean, once again, as I say, Williams' snooker has been more rock and roll and brilliant to watch, but Trump has been way more consistent, and which is why that post success of 97% probably doesn't tell you the whole story, as much as 54% of a safety battle probably doesn't either. So almost 11 PM here, long match by the way. Yeah, I mean, exactly. But this one certainly has been worth staying up for because, you know, apart from that early advantage from Trump, which certainly won in the match, you know, you have to say if this is going to be the end, then that's the point where Williams lost it. You know, when he was coming back and 4-1 up, 4-1 down to the table, one of the fans shouted that he can do it, and there was a little smile on Williams' face, clearly saying, "You think so?" He was able to win 2 frames on the bounce, but once again, when you're up against the world number 1, you can't just predict yourself to be winning all of those frames on the bounce. Yes, we are going to be saying hello. You know, once maybe that's going to happen in the season. You wouldn't expect that to be happening all the time, though. And Trump is only a couple of shots away, maybe 5 or 6 shots now, as he's about to take the blue into the right corner from taking this match away from Williams and doing it in style. And apart from, you know, losing the opening frame, which I actually thought at that point he's going to be in trouble because I thought Williams was going to turn up in very much one of his best games since the Xi'an Grand Prix, which he managed to win the title off. And in the end, he disappeared for 4 frames, and clearly that was more than enough for Trump to be getting this match under his control. And despite losing those 2 frames, he still would have been by far the favourite of taking the semi-final spot number 2. Now we're going to have to wait on who's it going to be of another marks to join Shaun Murphy or Zhao Xingtong with Selby and Allen. Still yet to play tomorrow. And as I say, I'm looking forward badly to Shaun Murphy against Zhao Xingtong because that's going to be certainly not one of those matches that you would expect them to be playing slow snooker. You know, Murphy had a bit of a stroll in this first round match, and then of course the brilliant decider of Zhao Xingtong coming back from being 5-2 down, and in the end having the ability to win that match by 6 frames to 5. Now Trump is not going to need the decider here because he's managed to get the match ball with the pink, just making sure that the red is going to disappear as well. And it certainly is going to be, well, Trump, because he is able to take this match away from Williams and, well, making this in style certainly. Another break of 70 plus points, and could we see finally a century break there for Judd? You know, he's going to be quite low on the list in, well, comparing to his standards of the centuries count this season. I feel like it is going to be Selby very much at the top. Then it's going to be Zhao Xingtong. Neil Robertson should be in there as well. And the likes of Shaun Murphy and Judd Trump should be right behind the world champion from China. 86 points now is going to be the break for Trump, so he will still need 1 more red to be taken away from the side cushions. And he should have the ability to just drop that cue ball in behind the red, which, I mean, easier said than done. He had very much limited window there to be guiding that cue ball towards, so was always going to leave the cue ball pretty much tucked into the side cushion, which makes the shot pretty awkward on the black. So now for a century break, and for this one to be certainly done in style, it is going to be Judd Trump to be taking a frame away from Mark Williams in all the style that you can wish for. A break of 101 points, pretty much a 50% improvement on his highest, well, previous highest break of the entire match. And he's not even done here yet, because look at that for a wonderful red with a long shot into the yellow pocket. And you can see that. I'll tell you what, the fans though, especially if they were neutrals or the fans of Judd Trump, would have certainly got their money worth of tickets, because that's been brilliant performance from the 2 players, especially from Trumdale. I mean, as I say, glimpses, and Prime Williams in this match probably has to be better. Although, I mean, if Trump is going to be able to find shots like that in the semi-final, I feel like it is going to be a lot more difficult of a match for John Higgins than his previous performance against Neil Robertson and Chris Wakelin. Look at that for a shot once again on the green, catching the black and still somehow getting that cue ball across towards the brown. So it is going to be, well, Williams in the background was ready to just be prepared to shake his hand. And yet Trump is able to find a beautiful brown as well. So then expect the same on the blue. And look at that for a fluke. I mean, he can't miss at this stage. And apologise to Williams, but of course it wouldn't matter. Williams sees the funny side of it. And look at that. Brilliant. Brilliant from Williams there, just throwing the black towel onto the table, and certainly he's going to have a lot of words to say there towards Judd Trump, and he's had enough, and both of them are going to be enjoying this one. But of course, from this funny side of it there from Mark Williams, the only player that is going to enjoy his performance, he's going to be Judd Trump, the world number 1 that gets himself into the semi-final. What match is next? It is going to be Zhao Xingtong against Shaun Murphy. Can't wait for that one. And until then, thank you very much for joining in. A bit of a quick one, a weird one, but once again, as I say, back with Jelsington against John Murphy, 1 o'clock in the afternoon here at local time in Telford. And then we'll be back at the semi-final action with John Higgins against Watchalong confirmed. The Masters rematch, or is it going to be John Higgins to be reaching third? Well, final this season, 2 of them to come in the rank events. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, it is Watchalong to be covered in glory as he defeats the Welsh Pudding Machine. And for now, he certainly managed to take a bit of a revenge for that semi-final loss in the World Championship. Let's see if he's going to be able to replicate the rematch form and do the same thing against John Higgins. For now, though, that's the last thing you're going to hear from me today. Thank you very much for tuning in again, and we'll see you around tomorrow in around 14 hours' time. Thank you again, and see you all soon.
The beauty of the world, Savannah. Let's all take a walk, Savannah. Lions gonna come.